Police say major criminals are off the streets as city police bring down a drug trafficking group.
We're saying enough is enough.
The message law enforcement has for neighborhood gangs in Baltimore. A city council member pushes for more transparency, how his new bill would show exactly how leaders are spending your tax dollars. Then we hear from concerned residents after a man is shot inside a T-Mobile store in Canton.
Live from WBFF in Baltimore, this is Fox 45 News at 4.
Breaking news in the state of Maryland. The stage is set for what could be a competitive Senate race next year in Maryland. Democratic Senator Ben Cardin has just announced he will not seek re-election next year. Cardin has served 3 terms and says it's time to retire. We're gathering reaction right now, and we'll have a live report coming up at 4:30. Thank you for joining us. I'm Kai Jackson.
And I'm Mary Bubala. Baltimore city leaders announced what they see as a major milestone in the fight against crime. This morning, they announced the arrest of 5 people who they say were part of a drug trafficking organization in southwest Baltimore. The arrests come as we conclude what has been a violent month. 72 people shot, making April one of the most violent months we've seen in a year.
To the people of Baltimore, we heard you. This is us delivering on a promise to go after those who are causing harm in our community.
I want to also give notice to those out there who are perpetrating a crime on the citizens and the victims in our city. We're saying enough is enough. You don't know where we are, but we're listening, we're looking. And eventually we will come and we will indict you.
This may be the first drug trafficking organization takedown during our state's attorney's tenure, but I can guarantee you that it won't be the last.
Baltimore, know that this is the team that is going to be holding them accountable.
And we have team coverage. Mackenzie Frost continues to push for transparency in the city's fight against crime.
Amy Simpson has word on a T-Mobile employee shot yesterday in Canton during a robbery.
But first, Alexa Ashwell has details of the takedown of the drug trafficking group. Alexa?
Yes, Kai and Mary, just hours ago, officials announced indictments against 5 individuals who they say were part of this drug trafficking operation. We're told 4 are in custody, but the 5th, identified as Kenneth Davis, remains at large.
A fentanyl drug trafficking operation set up in southwest Baltimore's Shipley Hill neighborhood dismantled. Investigators announcing the takedown after a 3-month-long investigation that began at the beginning of this year and has resulted in indictments against these 5 individuals.
Of these 5, 4 of them have previous arrest records that include assault, drug distribution, and even attempted murder.
Investigators say citizen complaints prompted the investigation and surveillance, undercover buys from at least 3 of the defendants, and the execution of search warrants led to the seizure of a ½ kilogram of fentanyl, 2 guns, and packaging materials used for street-level distribution.
They not only were in drug trafficking of fentanyl, which is extremely dangerous, but also tied to violence.
Like others, the drug operation coming with guns, violence, and a marked territory, all characteristics of a gang, but the city hesitant or even refusing to call them that.
But are neighborhood gangs a problem in Baltimore?
Well, neighborhood gangs they're not the gangs in the traditional sense. They're loosely organized, and they don't have a hierarchy structure as in traditional gangs that you might see portrayed on TV. But they are an issue because some of them are tied to violence, and they are tied to drug trafficking, which is also tied to violence. And so it's all connected.
The commissioner questioned on what he needs to get the drugs and neighborhood gangs out of Baltimore.
We need consequences to make sure we can deter people from making bad criminal decisions. But we also need to help people change their life conditions so that they don't have to do it in the very first place. Both of those are happening right now.
The commissioner there speaking to the mayor's group violence reduction strategy, which involves focused resources in an area, this initiative part of that. What they say will be happening in the coming weeks related to this initiative and the takedown, I'll have that at 5. For now, reporting live outside police headquarters, Alexa Ashwell, Fox 45 News.
Alexa, thank you. As you heard, the work being done in West Baltimore is under the mayor's overall gun violence reduction strategy. City leaders are vowing to provide resources to people involved in crime to give them a way out. But in just an hour, one city council member will introduce a bill to get more answers about how the city spends money fighting crime. Mackenzie Frost is live outside of City Hall to explain how that's going to work. Mackenzie?
Yeah, guys, so we know that the Mayor's Office of Neighborhood Safety and Engagement, or MONSE, right? That's a city agency that implements the Safe Streets program. We've heard the mayor touted as the city's flagship gun violence prevention strategy. Now, we also know, sir?
The commissioner,
yeah,
they all agree that they use techniques like neurolinguistic.
Knowing who the executive directors are, knowing who the board members are, knowing who the employees are of these organizations is very critical when it's taxpayer money going towards funding those organizations.
From this building over here.
I'm always someone that talks about transparency, but when you think about our grants, right, and the grants that the city gets, I don't think that anybody's gonna argue that, especially when we get them from the federal and the state government that has a lot of requirements, and that information is out there for the public to see. We're always going to be pushing that out there. We'll see and talk with the council member about the piece of legislation as it goes through the process.
And we will get back to Mackenzie. Everything's okay there. We're just going to let that settle down for a minute. We're going to move on right now. Tonight, Baltimore police say they are looking for 2 suspects after a brazen armed robbery in Canton. Happened just before 4:30 Sunday afternoon inside the T-Mobile store along Boston Street. Fox 45's Amy Simpson is live in Canton now with some new details for us. Amy?
So, Mary, not only was an employee shot inside of that store in the shopping center behind me, but police say that several suspects were also robbed before those suspects ran yesterday afternoon. Now, that T-Mobile store, like I said, in the shopping center behind me, does appear to be closed today with bars across the storefront. In a statement, T-Mobile said the shooting occurred at one of its third-party retailers, but called this a horrible situation, and they'll do what they can to support the ongoing investigation. Now, today, Baltimore Police Commissioner Michael Harrison said detectives are actively following leads and looking for 2 suspects.
It is a brazen robbery that happened in daytime, and we're working with the company. We're working with victims. We're looking for evidence. So anyone with any information is asked to call us right away.
And Amy, what kind of impact does this have on businesses in that area?
So, Mary, for anybody who spent any time outside yesterday, it wasn't the greatest day. It was quite a rainy afternoon, but still this incident happened during daylight hours nonetheless. And today I spoke to an economist about the brazen nature of this incident. Take a listen.
Canton on a Sunday, it should be a time when people are walking, they're transacting, they're enjoying themselves, a beautiful part of the city. On a weekend, they're with their families, they're with their children, so on and so forth. They should expect to be safe. Unfortunately, here we are in 2023, and people cannot expect to be safe. In fact, they have to be wary all the time.
Now, no update this afternoon on the status of that victim shot here yesterday afternoon, but police did say that T-Mobile employee, just 22 years old. We're live in Canton. Amy Simpson, Fox 45 News.
Just in this hour, Baltimore prosecutors have dropped an assault charge against State Delegate Kaylin Young. Fox 45 News obtained this exclusive video of the incident at the center of the case. It happened during a town hall late last year at the Reginald F. Lewis Museum. You can see a man interrupts the event and Delegate Young escorts him out. Young's attorney remained confident charges would be dropped throughout the entire process.
Well, making headlines right now, sex abuse charges have been filed against an Anne Arundel County teacher. In January, police received a report that 43-year-old Manuel Navarro Montero allegedly touched a female student inappropriately at Meade High School. Police say the teacher was immediately removed from the school and an investigation was launched. Police arrested Navarro Montero this morning. He's facing multiple charges.
2 13-year-old girls accused of handing out marijuana in class. Anne Arundel County police say 2 students at Northeast Middle School were caught giving THC edibles to their classmates. School officials say they found the drugs after a student who ate one of the gummies complained about feeling sick. Police say 37 gummies were found in one of the students' bags. Both girls have been charged.
The trial has started for the man accused of killing a Wicomico County Sheriff's deputy in June of last year. Austin Davidson is accused of running from police, then shooting and killing the sheriff's deputy. Investigators say Davidson was a fugitive wanted on multiple felony warrants. Davidson was indicted on 18 charges. Deputy First Class Glenn Hilliard was a 16-year veteran of the force. He was killed just a week before his 42nd birthday. He left behind a wife and 3 children.
May Day protests turned violent in Paris today as protesters clash with police. The images coming into our newsroom.
Who's to blame for the recent bank failures, and how can customers be sure it won't happen again? I'm Autral Nashar on Capitol Hill with why senators aren't satisfied with the answers they're getting from regulators.
We're following the breaking news. Maryland Senator Ben Cardin will not seek re-election, the competitive stage that's being set before next year's election.
And the commute home features a couple of light showers around the area. I'm going to be tracking those on the radar and let you know how long this stubborn pattern could be lasting. It's in my Weather Authority forecast after this.
Taking a look now at the Fox 45 quad box. May Day protests turned violent in Paris. French police clashing with thousands of people upset over the nation's raising the retirement age from 62 to 64.
It's week 3 of fighting in the North African country of Sudan. There was gunfire today despite a ceasefire agreement in place. The Pentagon says the evacuation of American citizens continues.
A manhunt continues for a Texas man accused of killing 5 of his neighbors last week, the victims including an 8-year-old boy. Police say Francisco Opereza was firing his weapon in front of his home when the neighbors asked him to stop. An $80,000 reward is being offered for his arrest.
And in the state of Minnesota, a man is in custody accused of setting fires to 2 mosques. No one was hurt in either case. The 36-year-old is also accused of vandalizing the office of Representative Ilhan Omar.
Well, J.P. Morgan acquires First Republic's bank's assets and deposits, marking the 3rd bank failure in the U.S. since March.
Yeah, that move is designed to, in part, to protect the financial system from more instability.
National correspondent Autral Nashar has the latest on this and what it means for its customers.
2.5 weeks after 2 bank failures shook the nation's confidence in the American banking system, explanations for how and why are more clear. Lawmakers of both parties say it's plain and simple, banking 101.
They took more risk by buying assets with higher yields to make higher profits. When those investments started to lose money, they didn't back down.
The warning signs should have been flashing red.
Regulators from the FDIC, Treasury, and Federal Reserve in the hot seat. Why didn't they act on those warning signs?
There was never an enforcement action that sort of forced the bank to clean up its act.
The Fed started flagging concerns about SVB's interest rate risk and liquidity risk in November of 2021, but says the bank waited too long to address them, and the full scope of its issues wasn't clear until it was too late.
Chairman Gruenberg, let me turn to you.
Democratic Senator Elizabeth Warren pressing regulators to use their existing authority to apply stronger prudential standards on banks with assets between $100 billion and $250 billion, a range that applied to both SVB and Signature Bank before they failed. What's your impression of why they're not doing that?
Now, I feel really frustrated with our regulators. They clearly fell down on the job, and it's pretty tough to admit how wrong they got it.
Now all 3 witnesses agree on a need for stronger regulation.
We, of course, would need to go through a notice and comment rulemaking
I understand.
In this process, but I anticipate the need to strengthen capital and liquidity standards.
Consensus, too, on who bears ultimate responsibility.
The stupidity, the negligence, maybe the gross negligence of the management of the banks.
More answers about the bank collapses coming May 1st when regulators release a report on what their investigations uncovered.
Meetings adjourned.
On Capitol Hill, I'm Autral Nashar reporting.
A new report says 14 million current jobs will not exist in 5 years. That's according to the World Economic Forum. Experts say it's over the future role of artificial intelligence. Slowing economic growth and rising inflation appear to be factors. They estimate 69 million new jobs will be created by 2027. Many of those jobs will be in the renewable energy sector.
I just can't believe the damage. When I walked down, just one block, and I couldn't even, as I was looking around, there were times where I didn't even recognize where I was.
Incredible scene in Virginia Beach. Residents picking up the pieces today after a massive tornado tore through several neighborhoods yesterday. The tornado knocked down trees and power lines, and at least 50 to 100 homes were damaged during that tornado. Now, in the Midwest, we continue to see flooding across a number of communities as the Mississippi River continues to rise to record levels.
Yeah, and further out west, Yosemite National Park is shut down as California's historic snowpack is melting. And in the state of Florida, residents saw soft ball-sized hail and widespread tornado damage there.
Take a look at this video also from Florida. This is near Palm Beach Gardens. You can see the exact moment, look closely, that a car is lifted in the air by a tornado. The National Weather Service says the tornado was at least an EF1 with winds of 100 miles per hour.
Wow.
Serious destructive weather out there across the entire U.S. And
Wild
here
weather,
we had lots of rain, but mild compared to that.
I mean, we did have some record rainfall, over 1.8 inches on Friday. That was actually a record for the day. And we have erased our rainfall deficits now that we're seeing all through April as we're now heading into May. Hopefully, we'll also get rid of that moderate drought with this latest weather maker. Notice Eldersburg to Westminster, here in Baltimore, Towson, Edgewood, Bel Air. We are seeing some showers right now. These are going to be kind of the deal over the next several days. And no, your eyes are not fooling you. Those highest elevations over portions of the Appalachians in West Virginia, all the way up into far western Maryland, we have winter storm warnings as well as winter weather advisories. This is a cold system, and it is going to be below average here as well over the next several days. Notice, as we take a wider scope on the HD radar, that rain continues to sweep its way eastbound and will continue to, as it comes up and over the mountain, see it break apart a bit. But we will see each and every day the risk of some at least afternoon showers and maybe a rumble of thunder. Really, it's going to take these little yellow lines. They're called troughs, or basically they're disturbances upstairs in the atmosphere, spiraling around the system that impacted us over the weekend. It's kind of split in two now. One portion of it way out in the Atlantic, and kind of the mother low pressure, if you will, that's over portions of Canada, and it's spinning these disturbances around. It's not moving very much. So this means showery, breezy weather and cool for this time of year the next several days. Did make it up to 60 degrees, but we're now at 59 with rain falling at BWI on the Toyota East Harbor Skycam. Looks a little gloomy on our Skycam shot. Winds out of the southwest at 9. We've got a good breeze going, too. That'll also be kind of pesky over the next several days. We're going to have those winds 10 to 15, maybe some gusts up to about 20, 30 miles an hour with that storm system spinning nearby. And every time those disturbances roll through, we're going to see that risk of showers, especially again during the afternoons. It's not going to be rain outs, but it's going to be kind of on and off type stuff. Temperatures in the 50s to around 60 right now at Oakland. Look at you at 37. That's where you're going to have some of those snow showers and not too far away from some of those winter storm warnings. But around here, we do have jacket weather on the way. 5:15 p.m., some on and off rain. By about 10:45, begins to kind of taper off. And it looks like overnight, may have some dry time into the early morning hours tomorrow, but by noontime and beyond tomorrow, here we go again. High temperatures in the 50s to near 60. There are those spot showers, and I think we do this rinse repeat on Wednesday as well with high temperatures. There you go, only in the 50s to near 60. So the next 7 days, at least the next couple of days, kind of carbon copies. Few PM showers here for our Tuesday, as well as on our Wednesday. High temperatures upper 50s to around 60, 65 on Thursday. Scattered sprinkles left over on Friday as well, but this system gradually moving eastbound. Then we return to near or above average once again. Beautiful weather on the way for the weekend with low to mid 70s.
Closer to home, 290 Baltimore area students are being recognized for their academic achievement through the Carson Scholars Fund. And yesterday, I had the honor to MC the awards banquet. Dr. Ben Carson created the fund to help students reach their academic goals.
Well, what I'd say to a lot of people in the community about the Carson Scholar Program is that it's something that a lot of people overlook as they think it's something just to add to a resume. I would argue that very heavily, as it's not something that I was as worried about on my resume moving towards my college applications, but it was something that I was just glad to have done, as it's introduced me to a lot of other aspects of life that I would have overlooked, not only growing as a student, but as a person.
Well, more than $9 million in scholarships have been awarded since the fund started back in 1994. Another homicide in Baltimore County coming up. Our conversation with the new police chief on public safety. And Maryland Senator Ben Cardin is not seeking re-election next year. The reaction coming in. Making headlines today, Hunter Biden appears in an Arkansas court by order of a judge on contempt charges from an ongoing child support case. The case was filed in 2019 by London Roberts. A DNA test confirmed Hunter Biden is father to Roberts' daughter. The case was reopened when Hunter Biden asked the judge to reduce his child support payments due to a change in his financial circumstances. Former President Trump's legal team wants a judge to declare a mistrial in his civil battery and defamation trial. If the judge won't grant a mistrial, Trump's team says the judge should correct the record on every instance where facts were mischaracterized. This case involves writer and former magazine columnist E. Jean Carroll, who accuses Trump of raping her in a department store and then defaming her by denying her claim. Investors are suing Adidas over the company's severed partnership with Kanye West. Investors say Adidas knew about the risks of a partnership with the rapper years before cutting ties with him. The suit claims the shoe company was aware of the entertainer's troublesome behavior and did not take measures to limit financial losses if the partnership were to end. Adidas cut ties with the rapper in October after he made anti-Semitic remarks. House Speaker Kevin McCarthy meets with Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu in Jerusalem today. He also addressed Israel's parliament. McCarthy is only the second House Speaker to do this. The Speaker is leading a bipartisan group of 20 lawmakers on this trip to Israel.
Kevin McCarthy, he has been a champion of the Israeli-American alliance. I think we have no better friend. You've brought with you a bipartisan delegation to express solidarity with Israel on its 75th anniversary.
We're proud of the history that 11 minutes after you became a country that America recognized you. And our bonds have only grown each and every year.
Yesterday, McCarthy criticized President Biden for not inviting Israel's Prime Minister Netanyahu to the White House. McCarthy says he'll invite the Prime Minister to Congress if Biden doesn't invite him to the White House. Coming up, a one-on-one interview with Baltimore County's new police chief, why violence is top of mind in the county. The Maryland Department of Education places blame on a web vendor for posting test scores online. As Project Baltimore continues to investigate, that vendor claims that's not true. And next, we hear from Senator Ben Cardin on why he won't run for re-election and what he says is next for him. After 3 terms in Congress, Maryland Senator Ben Cardin is retiring.
The 79-year-old says this afternoon he won't seek re-election next year. That decision sets the stage for what will likely be a competitive primary race.
Brad Bell joins us live with what we're learning this afternoon on this breaking news. Brad?
Yeah, well, not a big surprise. A lot of people had been anticipating that this was coming. He'd certainly been sending out signals and talking to folks in political circles. But look, we're in Montgomery County. We're at a place called the Pleasant View Historical Site. And the senator came here today, along with Senator Chris Van Hollen, with some government money, about $1 million for this place to try to preserve itself. And that's the sort of small victory that he says he has been involved with for so long, that's kept him involved in politics for so long. 1967 is when he was elected to the Maryland House of Delegates. He became the youngest Speaker of the House of Delegates in Maryland history in 1979. He served there. Then he served in the House of Representatives. And, of course, he's been in the United States Senate since 2007. As I said, not a surprise. We asked him today why he did make the decision. And he says basically, look, after these years in office, it's just time.
I'm not going to retire. I'm going to find other ways to serve, but it will be 58 years. that I've served continuously in elected office, 18 campaigns. And it's time to realize that this is not just a 2-year commitment to run for re-election. It would have been an 8-year commitment, 2 years to run and 6 years in term. And I think it's best for me to make the decisions when I'm in control of making my own decisions.
You heard him, 18 elections. He won 18 elections. He never lost. So who comes next? We asked him. He's certainly not ready to endorse anybody yet. He says there are a lot of good Democrats running. He believes that it will stay a Democratic seat. Now, we know that the representative from this area, Representative David Trone, is exploring. Prince George's County Executive Angela Brooks also exploring a race. Both of them saying they'll have something to say in the days ahead. Baltimore County Executive Johnny Olszewski has been talked about. And on the Republican side, Governor Larry Hogan has told me and publicly said many times he's not interested in being a senator, but you can bet he is going to be feeling some pressure to run. All he put out today was a statement congratulating and thanking Ben Cardin for his term in office. In Montgomery County, Brad Bell, Fox 45 News.
Thank you. We do have that statement. But first, reaction coming in from Governor Wes Moore, writing in part for over 50 years. Maryland has benefited from his tireless work across communities, this state and this nation. And to him and his beautiful bride, Myrna, enjoy this well-deserved time. Just over an hour ago, former Governor Larry Hogan tweeted, "I want to thank Senator Cardin for his decades of distinguished service to Marylanders. While we did not always agree, we often worked together as Team Maryland to do what is best for the people of our state." Now, we have more coverage in our next hour. We'll speak with a political expert to talk about the decision and what it means for Maryland.
He was shot multiple times to the upper body. Medic responded and pronounced the victim deceased.
Baltimore County Police continue to investigate a homicide in Cockeysville. Yesterday, police say a 28-year-old man, Samuel Bodkin, was shot and killed. Last week, a 17-year-old was killed in Overly, and residents are reacting to the violence.
It's just crazy the amount of gun violence that is happening. To broader, I mean, whether it's to here, to Perry Hall, you never know when it's going to stop.
It's really frightening. It's scary because you don't expect that.
Both homicides are unsolved. This year, 7 people have been killed across Baltimore County. That compares to 11 at this time last year.
Well, today, Fox 45's Vincent Hill sat down with Baltimore County's new police chief, Robert McCullough, to talk about the investigations and crime overall in the county. Vince?
Yeah, Mary, the chief not releasing many details as his detectives are still actively working both shootings. However, he did say all indications suggest both were targeted, not random acts. Meanwhile, I asked the chief if he's concerned with a rise in gun crimes in the county. Here's what he had to say.
I'm always concerned when there's any type of violence in Baltimore County, first of all. I'm concerned about the fact that there's so many guns out there and that people are willing to use them. But once again, that comes back to our mission as a police department to protect and serve the community and keep the greater community safe.
Investigators are still trying to solve the shooting death of 16-year-old Treshawn Harmon from Baltimore City. He was killed back in February, not too far from the Towson Town Center.
And Vincent, speaking of Towson Town Center, we've seen several large disturbances involving juveniles. As summer approaches, does the chief have a specific plan to deal with that?
Yeah, Kai, now we've seen a lot of these meetups posted on social media. He says the department will be monitoring social media to try to stop those before they start. He'll also rearrange some personnel to have more boots on the ground in known hotspots like the Towson Town Center. Now, coming up at 10, I'll have more on that plan, what the chief has to say about a juvenile curfew. Mary?
Vince, thank you. Well, around the state, the Anne Arundel County Council is taking another look at banning plastic bags. If approved, the law would prohibit free plastic bags at most stores. Stores would then offer paper bags for 10 cents. Last month, the council delayed its vote on this ban. Baltimore County passed a similar one in February, which goes into effect in November.
Also in Anne Arundel County, County Executive Stuart Pittman presented a multi-billion-dollar budget today. He's calling for millions to go to housing, public safety, and education. In the education funding, the county is focusing on improving worker pay with increased compensation for substitute teachers, improvements to bus driver contracts, and bonuses for special educators. In addition to funding for new schools and keeping up with the state's Kerwin requirements, The county is proposing a $45 million increase.
Teachers, parents, and students sent us a clear message about what it will take to fill our vacant positions at Anne Arundel County Public Schools. They said we need compensation that is competitive with our neighboring jurisdictions. And I agree. Our teachers need a raise.
Pittman says he's committed to the increased funding for schools. Multiple other counties, including Baltimore City, have expressed concerns with their budget after stretching funds to meet the Kerwin plan requirements. There's another twist in a Project Baltimore investigation, raising questions over why state test results were posted online, then removed and redacted.
As Project Baltimore's Chris Papst explains, the State Department of Education blamed its web vendor for posting embargoed data. But tonight, that web vendor says it didn't do it.
On April 20th, the Maryland State Department of Education posted this 3-page statement to its website. The statement was issued in response to Project Baltimore's investigation, exposing how MSDE changed the way it reports student test scores to the public, redacting much of the data. In the statement, MSDE blamed its web vendor, the Canton Group, for publishing embargoed data before it could be redacted to protect student privacy. MSDE's statement said Mr. Papst gained access to the embargoed data that was prematurely posted by the MSDE web vendor. But now, the Canton Group is responding, saying that is not true. The group says it did not post the data, but it knows who did. According to the web vendor, it was the Maryland State Department of Education. This all started in January when Project Baltimore downloaded state test scores that were posted on MSDE's website. Shortly after FOX45 News began reporting on the data, MSDE removed the results from its website. But remember, Project Baltimore already had the data, and in early February, we reported that 23 Baltimore City schools had 0 students among those tested score proficient in math. A few weeks later, in mid-March, MSDE reposted the data to its website, but this time, many of the results were replaced with asterisks. MSDE, under State Superintendent Mohammed Chaudhry, issued this 3-page statement blaming the Canton Group for prematurely posting the data in January. Now, the Canton Group has issued this statement refuting MSDE's claims, saying an individual with MSDE, under the direction of supervisors at MSDE, published the information in question on January 19th, 2023, after a full approval process. Project Baltimore reached out to the Maryland State Department of Education for a reply to this letter from the Canton Group. We will keep you updated on this developing investigation. I'm Chris Papst, and this is Project Baltimore.
Well, another year of the NFL draft is in the record books, and here are the Ravens' 6-member draft class, the smallest class since 1999.
I would say that every single guy on this list has played starter-level football and we think can be a starter in the NFL. The thing I think about this class is at that pick, as I look at the sequence, every one of these guys was the highest-rated guy on our board.
Well, the Ravens made news by securing Lamar Jackson even before the draft kicked off.
That's right. And another big development is Zay Flowers, who is drawing comparisons to Tyreek Hill's speed and Steve Smith's physical play.
Morgan Atzik goes one-on-one with Flowers.
Are we on minutes of sleep or hours?
Minutes. Minutes. I probably got like 25 minutes of sleep the past day and a half. Like, however, I don't even know how long I've been up, honestly.
That's a good thing, though, right?
Yeah.
I mean, you work so hard for this moment. Can you truly wrap your brain around everything from Thursday night to getting selected to knowing where you're going to be?
I think that's honestly why I can't sleep, because I worked for it for so long that when I finally got to the spot where I was in, it was hard for me to, like, wrap my head around it. So I sit up at night, like, looking up, like, damn, like, I really, like, kind of, like, accomplished my dream. But we just getting started. I just got to a place where I solidified myself as one of the best players in college football.
What is it about this place, this offense, where you see yourself, and what gets you excited for where you can fit in your skill set to this place?
First, it's the people. Coach Harbaugh, EDC, everybody just in the building is just a genuine person that when I came on, so all the attention on him. Then you got me, Odell, and Bateman at receiver. So it's really just you pick, and you pick whoever you want to make a play, and we can make a play. And we got J.K. in the backfield and Mark Andrews at tight end, so it's going to be an explosive offense.
When you're leaving high school and you're not getting the offers you feel like you want and you deserve, and you go to Boston College, from those 4 years, how do you get here and become a first-round draft pick and the #1 receiver on the Ravens board?
I kept that chip on my shoulder, and I wanted to prove why Miami should have recruited me, why FSU should have recruited me, or Florida. So what I could to help my team win and prove everybody wrong that was looking down on me back in high school.
Well, congratulations. Welcome to Baltimore.
Thank you.
Well, final preparations are underway for this weekend's coronation of King Charles. The fans are already lining up outside Buckingham Palace. And we head to Bowie, where the bells of summer are ringing.
All right, and around here doesn't feel like summer yet. Temperatures falling from 60s into the 50s as we head into the overnight hours. Some showers will be tapering, but they'll be back for the next few days. I'll let you know when it's finally going to be over and when we'll have some highs back into the 70s. That's in my Weather Authority forecast.
Well, the coronation of King Charles III is not until Saturday, but fans of the royals are already camping out to get the best seat in the house to watch history unfold. Now, the fans staked out their spots along the main road to Buckingham Palace today, where the King's procession will take place later this week. The campers say foregoing the normal comforts of home is well worth it.
Yeah, this is a big historic event, the Coronation. It's something that we as a group have never witnessed before. We've only seen it in black and white on television. So to be here at the front to see history happening in front of our eyes, it's amazing.
Well, other campers are expected to arrive in the days leading up to the coronation. Hundreds of thousands of people from around the world are expected to make the trip to London. It's so Baltimore, as we like to say here at Fox 45. Thrills and excitement await you at Six Flags this summer. You can enjoy rides, food, and entertainment. Be More lifestyle host Mark Clark has more.
And it's Six Flags season. I'm with the manager, Joe. We got new developments here. Tell us about what's going on, Joe.
Thanks for coming out. We're out here in Gotham City with Harley Quinn's Spinsanity, our newest thrilling attraction here at the park. But we're talking about our secondary safety restraint harness today. This is a proprietary technology developed by Six Flags and our engineers over years of study and development. But this harness allows guests with missing limbs or appendages to experience attractions that they haven't been able to in the past. So our team would fit them with this safety restraint harness, and we'd actually clip them into the ride seat on 98% of our attractions here at the park. And then the original, the primary restraint would still activate, but it allows guests who might not have been able to experience our attractions a whole new opportunity that we haven't been able to allow them to experience before.
It's amazing. A lot of big things happening here. New rides, new activities happening also, right?
Absolutely. We have great new shows that are happening now, and later this summer we have Rip Curl Blaster, our amazing new water coaster coming to Hurricane Harbor, Maryland.
Thanks, Joe. Thanks for the great information. Six Flags, always a great time, always innovative, and again, adding to the experience. I'm Mark Clark, Fox 45 News.
Yeah, if that's one of those things that launches you in the air, there's a song, and I can't sing it, but goes, no, 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 no.
That's the one for you, right?
No. You know that song.
It's been a while since I've done anything like that.
No way in the world I would do that.
I mean, I used to before I had kids, but now that I have collateral that I have to worry about, I don't know. All that kind of thing. HD radar got some scattered and smattered showers. It's generally just kind of light stuff that's kind of it's moving off the Appalachians. The real deal is actually west of the Appalachians, where you really can see. Take a look at this picture. Just kind of a steady rain. Even if you wouldn't believe it, there are winter storm warnings in portions of eastern high elevation West Virginia, and even toward Deep Creek Lake. We got winter weather advisories for Garrett County, Maryland. So these showers are going to be cold showers, but for us, it's not going to be snowy. Of course, it's too late in the year, but we are going to be seeing the potential here as each one of these little yellow lines come through. They're kind of little disturbances upstairs in the atmosphere. We're going to see an accentuation or an increase in some of the shower activity. It'll be breezy. It'll be cool. This will mainly happen during the afternoon. So let's go ahead and take a look. Latest weather maker. There it is. That's a storm system, or the kind of leftovers of the storm system that gave us a rain over the weekend. It's retrograding. It's moving backwards. It's kind of just stalled out. It's not going anywhere. So it continues to sit with this cold pool of air and just kind of throw all of these disturbances our way. And that's going to happen this afternoon, this evening. It's going to happen again tomorrow. It's going to happen again on Wednesday. So if you're tired of the gloomy weather, unfortunately, you're going to have to get used to it for a few days before sunshine returns, especially into this weekend. Right now, it's 59. Winds out of the southwest at 9 miles an hour, humidity at 42%. And, yeah, it's raining at BWI. We even have some showers in the vicinity of downtown. And the winds out of the west and southwest, not bringing warm air today, that's for sure. Winds up to about 20 miles an hour, 30 miles an hour even at times. And temperatures, they topped out at about 60. And now that the showers have moved in, we've tempered back down into the upper 50s. And we'll continue with that into the afternoon. Overnight tonight, we drop into the 40s. How about that, Oakland? That's near Deep Creek Lake with those winter weather advisories. You're at 37 right now. That's 2,000 feet up, but still, nonetheless, you see on the future scan, we're cool in our own right. Temperatures only in the 50s all the way through this evening. The showers will taper. I think by tomorrow morning it's primarily dry, although there could be a sprinkle or a spritz, and then we do it again for tomorrow afternoon. It's rinse, repeat. I'd have the umbrella in the car. I'd have some rain gear in the car just in case if you encounter one of these showers. It's not all day, and it's not everywhere, but you are probably going to stand a good chance in any one spot of seeing a shower at least one afternoon this week, all the way through about Wednesday, maybe even Thursday, Friday. Still slim chance of showers on the forecast. There you go again as we head into Wednesday afternoon with that risk of some scattered showers. Then Thursday, Friday, again, the chances decrease as the system starts to lift anchor and move east and away. And then we're back into the 70s with sunshine just in time for the weekend.
All right, Jonathan, thank you. Coming up on Fox 45 News at 5 o'clock, a Baltimore City Council member says there's not enough transparency in how your tax dollars are spent. A new bill that could give citizens a better use of where money is going. And having an emergency fund could be the cushion you need during an emergency. Why starting one isn't as hard as you might think. From inflation to unemployment, having an emergency fund can help smooth out life's financial hits. As Consumer Reports and Tom Rogers explains, starting one may not be as difficult as you think.
Now, if you're lucky, things are going well right now. You have a steady paycheck, you pay your bills on time, and you might even have a little extra money left over. But what if something unexpected happens?
We've all experienced major financial emergencies, an unexpected home repair, medical bills, or even loss of income.
Lisa Gill writes about personal finance for Consumer Reports.
Having a rainy day fund to cover these types of unplanned expenses can protect you from major debt which could easily turn into a financial crisis.
Financial planner Nestor Vargas says that putting aside enough to cover 3 to 6 months of essential expenses is a good rule of thumb.
Essential expenses are housing, food, transportation, debt repayment. And so what you want to do is you want to sit down, figure out how much that is on a monthly basis, multiply it times 3 or 6 to come up with the actual number you need to save for your emergency fund.
Once you determine your savings target, don't let that number daunt you.
Definitely important to start saving as much as you can or as little as you can. If it's $5, $10 a month, you'll be surprised how quickly that adds up.
An online savings calculator can show how much you'll need to set aside each month to reach your goal and how quickly that money will grow.
Consumer Reports suggest putting money into a high-yield savings bank or certificate of deposit. Many of those accounts now have interest rates over 4%.
And make saving even easier by setting automatic deposits or transfers from your checking account right to your emergency fund. It will keep your contributions on track and secure until you need them. While building emergency savings should be a priority, you may have other urgent financial obligations, such as high-interest credit card debt. If that's the case, then paying down your debt should become the priority. If you have low-interest debt, you could strike a balance, funneling some of your savings toward paying your debt with the rest toward your emergency fund. Tom Rogers, Fox 45 News.
Coming up on Fox 45 News at 5 o'clock, an organization distributing drugs in Baltimore is dismantled, according to police. The promise from city leaders to fight the opioid crisis by cracking down on dealers. A hearing happening right now could be the first step in transparency from City Hall, the new bill that aims to shine a light on how city tax dollars are being spent. Maryland Senator Ben Cardin will not run for re-election. The reaction from state leaders and who could step up to try to secure a seat.
A bill for more transparency in city government. The problems one councilman says he has with the way tax dollars are being spent.
A deadly shooting takes place in Baltimore County. Fox 45 talks one-on-one with the new police chief about the investigations.
Live from WBFF in Baltimore, this is Fox 45 News at 5.
Breaking tonight, Maryland Senator Ben Cardin will not run for re-election after serving as a member of Maryland's congressional delegation since 1986. The longtime Democrat will retire. During his time in the Senate, Cardin has been a leader in health care, retirement, and the environmental policy. He also played a key role in writing the Paycheck Protection Program that supported small businesses during the pandemic. The senator says even though he's leaving, he's not done serving the people.
I'm not going to retire. I'm going to find other ways to serve, but it will be 58 years that I've served continuously in elected office, 18 campaigns. And it's time to realize that this is not just a 2-year commitment to run for re-election. It would have been an 8-year commitment, 2 years to run and 6 years in term. And I think it's best for me to make the decisions when I'm in control of making my own decisions.
Well, state leaders responding to Cardin's plans to leave Congress. The governor tweeted a statement thanking the senator for his leadership and saying he's the epitome of what a public servant should be. And Senator Chris Van Hollen also reacting, saying Cardin's service has made Maryland, the entire country, and the world a better place. Good evening. I'm Kai Jackson.
And I'm Mary Bubala. We're following multiple stories tonight. Baltimore city leaders announced what they see as a major milestone in the fight against crime. The latest drug bust, they say, helps prove organized crime will not be tolerated in the city. But first, a new bill in City Hall could put more pressure on Baltimore leaders to be transparent with how taxpayer dollars are spent.
I'm always someone that talks about transparency, but when you think about our grants, right, and the grants that the city gets, I don't think that anybody's gonna argue that, especially when we get them from the federal and the state government that has a lot of requirements and that information is out there for the public to see. We're always going to be pushing that out there. We'll see and talk with the council member about the piece of legislation as it goes through the process.
And this is a live look right now at a hearing that just got underway. City Councilman Yitzi Schleifer says he wants taxpayers to better understand how city leaders are spending your money. The councilman is proposing a bill that would make it easier to track how money is spent. Fox 45's Mackenzie Frost has details.
City Hall sits in the heart of Baltimore. It's also the focus of questions when it comes to how city leaders spend millions of your tax dollars. From safe streets to clean core, the city remains pretty tight-lipped about showing how nonprofits spend grant money given to them from the city. That could soon change.
This bill is aimed at solving that and just making it very simple as to who has to file information so that the public can really see where their tax dollars are going to.
Here's a draft of the bill, sponsored by Councilman Isaac Yitzi Schleifer. He says he's tired of asking questions about how nonprofits spend city-approved grants without getting clear answers, especially as the city continues to hand out its $641 million allocation of the federal American Rescue Plan money.
The same thing that we require for our city employees in our agencies would be required of these organizations.
Safe Streets, for example, is the city's flagship gun violence prevention program, utilizing community-based organizations to manage its 10 locations. Once the money is approved by the city, it goes to the nonprofits. But how they spend that money remains a struggle to get clear answers on.
Knowing who the executive directors are, knowing who the board members are, knowing who the employees are of these organizations is very critical when it's taxpayer money going towards funding those organizations.
Do you anticipate having a lot of support from the other council?
Oh, I would assume that we would have unanimous support. I mean, we're all interested in more transparency. We know that there's a lot of money that's going out the door to these groups, and there's a lot of great things happening, but we want to see sometimes when there's questions being asked that we don't have the answers to, it all should be just made available in a very easy format for people to go and see where that money is going.
To ensure the people elected to represent Baltimoreans are pushing everyone that does business with the city to handle your tax dollars responsibly. In Baltimore, Mackenzie Frost, Fox 45 News.
Mackenzie has been pressing the mayor about how nonprofits are spending taxpayer dollars, particularly when it comes to the Safe Streets program.
Do you know where the petty cash is being spent? And your team ignored our questions about setting up an...
We didn't ignore your questions, Mackenzie.
You did. Did you know that the organizations are not providing monthly reports?
So again, this is what we're talking about. Safe Streets is a program that has been tested and tried through. And when you look at our community partners that run Safe Streets, like LifeBridge Health, Catholic Charities, these are top quality organizations. And we're going to continue to make sure that we're being responsible with taxpayers' dollars.
Can you ensure that this federal money won't be wasted during this allocation process?
I think, again, this is why we have the recovery office. We will not do what we had before. We are doing things in a different way.
For more on our investigations into Safe Streets and clean core spending, head to our website, foxbaltimore.com.
To the people of Baltimore,
We heard you. This is us delivering on a promise to go after those who are causing harm in our community.
Well, 5 people who Baltimore police say were part of a drug trafficking organization arrested in southwest Baltimore. Alexa Asheville is live with details of the takedown of this drug trafficking group. Alexa?
Yes, Mary. Investigators say right now 4 out of those 5 defendants are in custody. Investigators say they are still searching for Kenneth Davis, who remains at large. This investigation dating back to earlier this year, the beginning of this year. Investigators say citizen complaints prompted police to look into activity happening on South Franklintown Road in southwest Baltimore's Shipley Hill neighborhood. For 3 months, investigators say detectives conducted surveillance and made undercover buys. The execution of a search warrants, officials say, leading to the seizure of a half kilo of fentanyl, 2 guns, and packaging materials used for street-level distribution. This, the latest of several drug trafficking organizations named and dismantled so far this year. We asked the commissioner what it will take to get these neighborhood gangs out of Baltimore.
We need consequences to make sure we can deter people from making bad criminal decisions. But we also need to help people change their life conditions so that they don't have to do it in the very first place. Both of those are happening right now.
And Alexa, this investigation is part of the mayor's group violence reduction strategy. Leaders of Monzi say work will continue in this neighborhood as part of this initiative. Is that right?
Yes, that's what we heard from the Mayor's Office of Neighborhood Safety and Engagement earlier today. According to Monsi, it's called the Neighborhood Stabilization Response. What happens after a takedown? Director Shantae Jackson says over the coming weeks, they'll be walking into communities with multiple agencies such as the health department or employee development and help offer any services or resources needed. As for this takedown, anyone with any information regarding the whereabouts of Kenneth Davis is asked to call police. Reporting live outside police headquarters, Alexa Ashwell, Fox 45 News.
Alexa, thank you. Also in Baltimore, a man sentenced to 12 years in federal prison for plans to sell large amounts of fentanyl. Police say 32-year-old Romesh Vance was planning to sell the drugs on this table, somewhere between 8 and 26 pounds of fentanyl. Vance was on supervised release for a previous drug conviction when he was arrested.
He was shot multiple times to the upper body. Medic responded and pronounced the victim deceased.
Baltimore County police are investigating a homicide in Cockeysville. Yesterday, police say a 28-year-old Samuel Bodkin was shot and killed. Last week, a 17-year-old was killed in Overly, and residents are reacting.
It's just crazy, the amount of gun violence that is happening. To broader, I mean, whether it's to here, to Perry Hall, you never know when it's going to stop.
It's really frightening. It's scary because you don't expect that.
Both homicides are unsolved. So far this year, 7 people have been killed across Baltimore County compared to 11 at this time last year.
And today, Fox 45's Vincent Hill sat down with Baltimore County's new police chief, Robert McCullough, to talk about the investigations and crime in the county overall. Vincent?
Yeah, Mary, the chief not releasing many details as he says his detectives are still working both shootings. However, he did say all indications suggest both were targeted and not random acts. Meanwhile, I asked the chief if he's concerned with a rise in gun crimes in the county. Here's what he had to say.
I'm always concerned when there's any type of violence in Baltimore County, first of all. I'm concerned about the fact that there's so many guns out there and that people are willing to use them. But once again, that comes back to our mission as a police department to protect and serve the community and keep the greater community safe.
Meanwhile, investigators are still trying to solve the shooting death of 16-year-old Trayshawn Harmon from Baltimore City. He was killed in February, not too far from the Towson Town Center.
Vincent, speaking of Towson Town Center, there have been some large disturbances that we've reported on, particularly involving juveniles. As summer approaches, does the chief have a plan to deal with that or head those things off?
Yeah, Kai, we've seen a lot of these meetups posted on social media. He says the department will be monitoring social media to try to stop those before they start. They'll also be arranging personnel to have more boots on the ground in known hotspots like Towson Town Center. Now, coming up tonight at 10, I'll have more on that plan and what the chief says about a juvenile curfew.
Vincent, thank you. Well, the trial began today for the man accused of killing a Wicomico County Sheriff's deputy in June of last year. Austin Davidson is accused of running from police, then shooting and killing that deputy. Investigators say Davidson was a fugitive wanted on multiple felony warrants. Davidson was indicted on 18 charges. The deputy he killed was first-class Deputy Glenn Hilliard. He was a 16-year veteran of the force. He was killed just a week before his 42nd birthday, allegedly by that suspect. Now, he left behind a wife and 3 children.
Prosecutors are dropping an assault charge against State Delegate Kaylin Young. Fox 45 News obtained this exclusive video of the incident at the center of the case. It happened during a town hall late last year at the Reginald F. Lewis Museum. As you can see, a man interrupts the event and Delegate Young escorts him out. Young's attorney remained confident charges would be dropped throughout the entire process.
A violent daytime robbery in a busy shopping center leaves one person shot. What we know about the search for suspects.
Is it a warning that a violent summer is on the way? The concerns in Baltimore after a spike in shootings last month.
Only a week after President Biden announced he is running for re-election, more concerns about that bid from within his own party. I'm Scott Duman in Washington to explain why, coming up.
And some May grilling on tap for you this evening on this 1st of May. Well, temperature is going to be chilly, not feeling all that May-like. Temperature around 60 at 6 p.m. and some scattered showers all the way through the evening hours, dropping down in the 50s, even 40s. I'll let you know we'll finally be getting back to where we should be. Highs in the 70s. Some of my Weather Authority forecast.
Just days after President Biden declared he's running for a second term, many wonder if his nomination is almost a sure thing or if some voters in his own party will push back. Sinclair's chief political correspondent Scott Thuman has a look at what may be a tough hurdle for the president to overcome.
For President Biden, will it be a simple walk in the park to win the Democratic nomination this time? Or will his age, currently 80 and the oldest president in history, hurt him? He took jabs at his own longevity over the weekend.
Call me old. I call it being seasoned. You say I'm ancient. I say I'm wise. You say I'm over the hill. Don Lemon would say that's a man in his prime.
But not everyone as amused, including Democrat voters, 51% of whom don't want Biden on the ballot, almost half citing his age as a major reason.
You voted for him in 2020. What gives you pause if you're having some sort of pause?
Well, obviously his age.
Though that doesn't mean they won't still vote for him.
What do you like about Joe Biden?
That he's not Trump.
Speaking of Trump, not much younger at age 76, also trying to paint Biden as too old.
Where am I going? Where the hell am I going? I want to get
It could be one reason Robert F. Kennedy Jr., hardly considered a mainstream Democrat, is polling at 19% in this early-stage primary challenge of Biden. Though neither Kennedy nor Marianne Williamson, another Biden opponent, may get a chance to debate him, since it's being reported the DNC currently has no plans to host any primary debates.
It's troubling that if we don't have debates, there's so many Americans who believe that our democracy is broken, that the system is rigged against them.
I don't think the DNC should be dictating from on high that they will try to invisibilize any other candidates.
And like in 1992 with George H.W. Bush or Hillary Clinton in 2016, just because the party tries to clear a path for a particular candidate doesn't mean voters won't want to see who else is out there. In Washington, I'm Scott Thuman.
And that brings us to our question of the day. Is Joe Biden's age an advantage or a disadvantage? To make your voice heard, scan the QR code on the screen right now.
Writer E. Jean Carroll, who says former President Donald Trump raped her in a department store in the 1990s, acknowledged today during her cross-examination that she never followed her own advice to readers to report sexual attacks. Carroll told the jury that being born in 1943, she was a member of the silent generation and taught not to complain. Her testimony came shortly after Trump's lawyer asked the judge to declare a mistrial, claiming the judge made rulings that favored Carroll. The judge denied those claims.
The U.S. Supreme Court has decided fewer cases at this point of its term than any time in the last century, just 15. The past 2 years, justices had decided 25 cases by May 1st. Some speculate the delay is due to the recent leak of the draft Roe v. Wade decision, protests and ethics concerns. It means the court just has a few weeks to decide its biggest cases, including student loan debt, affirmative action, voting rights, and services for same-sex couples. All right, Jonathan is back. When Jonathan last night, he said, more rain today. I was like, no.
Can't do it.
But we did at least see the sun.
Which was nice.
I mean, we all needed to see the sun.
This is going to be the deal the next few days. We're going to have that risk of rain. There could be some peaks of sunshine. I don't think it'll be as sunny as we saw this morning. But again, during the afternoons is going to be our best risk at getting some showers. Real, just persistent kind of springtime pattern. Weather maker not moving much. So, Mary, sorry about this one.
Yeah.
I think we're going to finally get our treat over the weekend. So at least the timing this time around, after so many wet weekends in a row, I think the timing is good. But the HD radar shows us that the timing not great for our afternoon commute, getting some showers now from Perryville, but it's probably barely even wetting the roads here. 95 down to Perry Hall, Glenarm getting some light showers there, as well as Frederick and Damascus. And hey, when you start getting sad about our weather around here, at least right now we are not in portions of western Maryland and West Virginia where, yes, there are winter storm warnings and winter weather advisories out of this latest weather maker. And yes, we are in the beginning of May. It's a cold one, and you see the rain, the thunderstorms just spiraling around. That's that weather maker just sitting and spinning and sitting, and it will do so over the next several days, even retrograding, moving backwards over the next several days, moving from east to west, and it's going to all the time, same thing, going to give us these little disturbances, these yellow lines coming through, and when they do, that's going to spark up those breezes. It's going to give us those showers sprouting up in the afternoon, and it's going to keep those temperatures cool. So the pattern not changing through about midweek. Finally, the storm system will move eastbound and out, but that's after, yes, depositing. You see, as we remove my name here, you'll actually see some of these areas in blue and pink that are down into the Appalachians. Yes, in West Virginia, you could see over a foot of snow some of this too. So for us, cool showers, but out to our west, totally different story in those high Appalachian elevations. 59 right now. It is raining over at BWI. Winds out of the southwest at 16. Trying to break some sunshine on the Toyota Asian Harbor Skycam. Another story is going to be the winds over the next several days. Nothing damaging, but it's just going to be pesky and making it feel chilly. Those winds up to about 25, 30 miles an hour in gusts. And if you thought it was cold here, look at you, Oakland. 37 right now, where we have those winter weather advisories. We are kind of teetering in the 50s to near 60. Notice the spot showers. They diminish a bit overnight. Still, maybe a spot shower or sprinkle overnight. And then we increase the rain chances again tomorrow midday and afternoon, especially high temperatures. Probably making about 60 or so. We made it to 62 today. It's a similar day for tomorrow and as well on Wednesday, too. You can see more spotty showers developing. Finally, we break the pattern Thursday, Friday. The storm system lifts anchor, begins moving east, and that's when temperatures warm. How about 70s and dry skies just in time for the weekend?
Jonathan, thank you. A violent April has some concern about what we could see this summer, looking into the shocking numbers and how many kids are being targeted.
Diabetes drugs being used as a weight loss aid. Experts tell me there's competition in the market. The warnings they have as Eli Lilly asked the FDA for fast track approval.
Well, there is a lot of demand for diabetes drugs being used to lose weight. Tonight, medical experts are weighing in after drug maker Eli Lilly said it would use a new study to ask the FDA to fast-track approval for the drug to help with weight loss. Dee Dee Gatton reports.
The drug is called tirzepatide. The FDA is investigating it as a treatment for people with obesity or overweight. The FDA approved tirzepatide last year for helping people with type 2 diabetes control blood sugar. Weight loss can be a struggle for people with diabetes, according to medical experts who say tirzepatide helps make you feel full longer. There are risks and concerns experts point to if you're thinking of bringing this up to your doctor.
we have to be very careful because there's literally an appetite for drugs like this in the population. Since almost half of Americans are obese, we know there's that need for this, but we have to be very cautious with these drugs.
We've had instances where patients have not been able to get some of the current medications for their diabetes because there is a shortage of those due to the uptick of patients using this off-label for weight loss. This includes both tirzepatide and semaglutide, which is also being used in a similar fashion.
The brand Wegovy is semaglutide for adults with obesity or excess weight with weight-related conditions. The FDA approval would make tirzepatide a direct competitor. Reporting for the National Desk, I'm Dee Dee Gatton.
Well, today is Melanoma Monday, a national effort to raise skin cancer awareness. More than 97,000 new melanomas are expected to be diagnosed this year, according to estimates from the American Cancer Society. Doctors urging people to get regular checkups with a dermatologist if you're at risk.
We think about age as a risk factor, skin color and hair color, so lighter skin and lighter hair, especially redheads, have an increased risk of melanoma.
Other risk factors include sun exposure, indoor tanning beds, family history of the disease, as well as medications that suppress the immune system. A shooting at a Canton shopping center right in the middle of the day. The latest on the search for two suspects tonight. Who will run for the open U.S. Senate seat? Talking with a political analyst about the fallout from Senator Ben Cardin's plans not to run.
As we've been reporting, Senator Ben Cardin says he will not run for re-election. Cardin has served as part of Maryland's congressional delegation since 1986.
The longtime Democrat was a leader on Capitol Hill in health care, retirement funding, and more. He also played a key role in writing the Paycheck Protection Program that supported small businesses during the pandemic. Now the announcement opens up a rare vacant seat for Maryland heading into 2024. So who will voters pick to replace one of the state's most well-known and longest-serving senators?
Well, right now we're joined by political analyst John Deedy to break down what comes next. John, thank you for joining us. What do your wise observations tell us, John?
This seat is PG County Executive Angela Alsobrooks' seat for the taking. She's going to be the front runner, and she has a couple advantages. First, PG County, a rich voter base. The second advantage she has is this. In 1992, of the 10 members of the Maryland congressional delegation, 5 were women. Today, it is 0. With the Dobbs decision from last year and a lot of other factors, she would be a definitely strong front-runner candidate for this position. There's been a lot of changes we've seen with a woman vice president. I'm sure that Kamala Harris would definitely have an interest in this race if Alsobrooks got in it. So I think she's the lead horse right now.
All right, let's talk about the other side. Right now, both of our state senators are Democrats. We haven't elected a Republican in the Senate since the 70s. Do you think any Republicans taking a look at it and going to take a try at it?
I think some will look at it as like, let's see how I do for future running. Governor Hogan, I don't see him doing this for one reason. This is where the problem is. If he runs, and first, can he win the primary? Because his own handpicked successor, Kelly Schultz, couldn't win her primary. The Republican Party in Maryland's become a Trump party. So Hogan would have trouble first winning the primary. The other problem a Republican candidate would have is this. The Democrats would run on this theme. A vote for Larry Hogan or any Republican is a vote to make Mitch McConnell the Senate Majority Leader. That would force Democrats to run into the arms of any Democratic candidate.
All right. John, also from a national perspective, the Democrats have such a thin majority in the Senate. In the last election cycle, we did see millions of dollars from the national political groups being pushed into states like Pennsylvania and Georgia, where those races were tight. Could that happen here again, especially with such a tight margin in the Senate?
It would just be throwing good money after bad because Maryland is a Democratic state. Joe Biden's going to run again. Maryland has been voting for Democrats for a long time for president. So it would just be throwing money away unless you had a really bad Democratic candidate nominee and a really good Republican nominee where they throw some money at it. But for the most part, I think the Republicans are going to sit out of this thing.
Interesting. All right. Can't wait to see what happens. John Deedy, thank you for joining us as always.
You're welcome.
Tonight, Baltimore police say they're looking for 2 suspects after what's being called a brazen armed robbery in Canton. Happened yesterday inside the T-Mobile store along Boston Street. Fox 45's Amy Simpson has details.
This happened about 4:30 yesterday afternoon, and not only was an employee shot inside of the store, but police say several customers were also robbed before those suspects ran.
In Canton, this T-Mobile store closed today. Bars across the storefront 24 hours after a store employee was shot during a Sunday afternoon armed robbery.
It is a brazen robbery that happened in daytime.
Police Commissioner Michael Harrison says detectives are actively following leads. Investigators now looking for 2 suspects.
And we're working with the company, we're working with victims, we're looking for evidence. So anyone with any information is asked to call us right away.
A sign on the door of this cellular store says firearms prohibited. T-Mobile telling Fox 45 News the shooting occurred at one of its third-party retailers, but called it a horrible situation, and they'll do what they can to support the ongoing investigation. This Harford County man back at the shopping center today. He says he was here yesterday afternoon, just hours before the shooting inside T-Mobile. Now reacting to the news of an employee shot during the crime.
Probably undeserved, just trying to work. It's unfortunate, but it's crazy.
people here like that.
Anything can happen at any moment. And of course, that's not unique to Baltimore.
Meanwhile, this economist speaking to the brazen nature of the crime, the time it occurred, and the impact it has on businesses in the area.
Canton on a Sunday, it should be a time when people are walking, they're transacting, they're enjoying themselves, a beautiful part of the city. On a weekend, they're with their families, they're with their children, so on and so forth. They should expect to be safe. Unfortunately, here we are in 2023, and people cannot expect to be safe. In fact, they have to be wary all the time.
No update today on the status of the victim, the person who was shot here yesterday afternoon, but police did say that T-Mobile employee is just 22 years old. In Canton, Amy Simpson, Fox 45 News.
Baltimore police have identified victims from 2 deadly shootings. Last week on Friday, Shaquana Edwards was killed in a double shooting in East Baltimore. On Saturday, Samuel Green was shot and killed in a double shooting in West Baltimore. So far this year, 88 people have been killed in the city. In April alone, gun violence impacted dozens of people. The number of non-fatal shootings higher than it's been in months. And now, as we head into the summer months, there is some concern those numbers will spike and more young people will become victims of violence. Maxine Stryker has the latest on the crime data.
April has proved to be a violent month throughout Baltimore City. From a quadruple shooting that left 3 dead in Northeast Baltimore to 2 teenagers shot Easter Sunday at the Inner Harbor and a 12-year-old boy killed in South Baltimore. This month, at least 69 people have been shot, left living with the permanent scar of violence. According to our data, that's the most non-fatal shootings in a month since last summer. In total, 191 people have been shot and survived this year in Baltimore City. That is less than this time last year. But among those shot and survived, 32 juveniles ranging from 9 years old to 17. As crime historically increases in the summer months, Mayor Brandon Scott is hoping a new youth curfew will curb violence among young people.
There has to be some accountability. There has to be correction in behavior. And again, if a kid is not getting that at home, it needs to come from somewhere, or we're going to just see a continued growth in youth violence.
Set to go into effect Memorial Day weekend, but former Deputy Police Commissioner Jason Johnson is skeptical it will make a difference.
If it's a Band-Aid that the mayor feels like he needs in the short term to get through summer, fine, let's give it a try, but I don't expect it to have much of an impact at all. In fact, it could have a negative impact.
With police hundreds of officers short, he worries it could put them in jeopardy.
The first BPD officer that has to use force to enforce the curfew, which could happen and likely will happen, and there's the viral video goes out of something that doesn't look good, and police using force never looks good, then everything is going to change, and it's foreseeable.
New information on the Anne Arundel County budget. County Executive Stuart Pittman presented the multi-billion-dollar plan for the first time today. The plan included millions for housing, public safety, and education. In that education funding, the county is focusing on improving worker pay with increased compensation for substitute teachers, improvements to bus driver contracts, and bonuses for special educators. In addition to funding for new schools to open and keeping up with the state's Kerwin requirements, the county is proposing a $45 million increase.
Teachers, parents, and students sent us a clear message about what it will take to fill our vacant positions at Anne Arundel County Public Schools. They said we need compensation that is competitive with our neighboring jurisdictions. And I agree. Our teachers need a raise.
While Pittman says he's committed to the increased funding for schools, multiple other counties, including Baltimore City, have expressed concern with their budget after stretching their funds to meet Kerwin plan requirements.
Making headlines right now, sex abuse charges have been filed against an Anne Arundel County teacher. In January, police received a report that 43-year-old Manuel Navarro Montero allegedly touched a female student inappropriately at Meade High School. Police say the teacher was immediately removed from the school and an investigation was launched. Police arrested Navarro Montero this morning. He's facing multiple charges.
Two 13-year-old girls accused of handing out marijuana in class. Anne Arundel County police say 2 students at Northeast Middle School were caught giving THC edibles to their classmates. School officials say they found the drugs after a student who ate one of the gummies complained about feeling sick. Police say 37 gummies were found in one of the students' bags. Both girls have been charged.
The Anne Arundel County Council will take another look at banning plastic bags. If approved, that law would prohibit free plastic bags at most stores. Stores would then offer paper bags for 10 cents each. Baltimore County passed a similar ban in February.